All right, I am gonna make some drawer boxes for my outfeed table that I am working on. So it's all out of maple, well, mostly maple, but drawer boxes are gonna be, I think this is elm. I don't know really because the tree didn't have any leaves on it, but I had to pull it down to build my shop. So it's only appropriate that the wood is going to be eventually in the shop. So, but anyways, it's super rough cut, like super very thicknesses and super warped, and it's been dried for 2 years, so it's dry. And it once I get it flattened, it should stay that way. But like this stack, I can get two out of, and this one is not quite wide enough. I might end up having to glue up some parts just to save a little bit of wood. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to joint one edge, and then I'll run it through the table saw, because trying to joint a 10-inch board is a lot more work than a 4¼ inch board. So I'm going to rip them all down to go ahead and the rough size. They need to end up at least 4 inches, but I mean, if I got a board that's a little wider, I'll make some 4.5. They don't have to all be the same, because I can make some drawers taller than the other ones. But all right, this is not going to be fun, so no point in recording it. Well, I got everything jointed on two sides, so this stack has got to go through the planer. I can take that down to thickness, which I'm going to do 3/4 inch. And then I've got the other ones that I had to glue up. I went ahead and already ran through those through the planer, and they're not at full thickness. They're about 7/8. So, but there's still some planing that needs to be done. You can see right here. I got them close to where I can glue them up, and then I can run them through the joiner again and get them 100% perfectly square. I don't have to worry about putting a biscuit or a domino or a dowel or anything in there. I can just rejoin it, make it perfectly square and everything. So this is going to take a bit, because a lot of those are really thick. Some of these I actually ran through the table saw standing up. I wish I had a bandsaw, but I went ahead and resawed several like this here, because some of these were really thick. So I took them down to 1 inch, because I figure it's a good size. I can take another 1/4 off, but I'm going through the joiner, or the planer, sorry. But that's what I'm going to do for the next 2 hours, probably, something like that. I think it took me about 1.5 hours to get all those jointed. All right, 1 hour later, maybe 1.5 hours, something like that. So I got everything planed. I actually even got the slot in for the drawer bottoms. I like to cut that in before I cut them to length, in case there's any tear out. It cleans it up. So these are actually all different thicknesses. So I was pretty lazy, and I didn't feel like running every single board through the planer 500 times. So after each pass, I grouped them all together to see what was clear, to where it was final pass. And if I had 4 of them the same height, grouped them together. So some of them are like 3/4, not very many. Most of them are, there's a few, like probably 2 or 3 7/8, and the rest of them are in between there and 3/4. And I think the only ones that are actually 3/4 are the ones that were already 3/4. And that's going to be the small drawer, so we're good. But I dug around for plywood, and I don't know what I'm going to do for bottoms. I've got 3. So this has actually got some laminate on it, but I think it's not cabinet grade plywood, but I think I can make it work. And this is 1/2 inch. That'll work for the small drawer, and this will work for one of the bigger drawers. That's 1/2 inch as well. So I don't know. Thought about maybe, which I may end up doing it, is cutting this down, planing this down to 1/2 inch, and using, it's just pine that came out of the house, out of some closets. It's actually pretty straight clear knots. So I may use that, glue that up. That'll get most of it, and then might even use some of this 1/4 inch. I've got some 1/4 inch hardboard. That's kind of a mixture. I'll see what I got. So, but that's it for the day. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I'm gonna let that sit for the night and get started back in the morning. So I started cutting. I'm just kind of getting a little assembly line. Since they're all varying thicknesses, I'm just doing one drawer at a time, and I'm keeping them grouped. I'll get them cut down to size, and then sand them down and go ahead and I'm just going to pocket screw. These are just a shop, so I'm not like in the house. I'm doing dovetails, which are easy with the jig. They're actually super easy. If you got 2 routers, I set up one router with one bit, the other router with the other bit, and I get it adjusted. But since these are varying thicknesses, it would be a nightmare to do it, because you'd have to adjust the bit on each set. So anyways, let me show you how I get them all measured up. What I do first is I go through and look and see what end I want to cut off, because I'm cutting off about 4 inches or so. So one end, you know, if it's got a defect, like that one's got a knot. Like this one didn't matter. I just picked a side, and same thing with this one. So it's got a little bit of a thing, but either way. So first thing I do is mark them all, and then I'll mark the front and the back. So I'll pick one that's got, if it's got like a defect or something that you may want to hide, because you really don't. The front, you definitely don't see it, because you're looking at it like this. So like this one's got a knot on both sides, so I made that the front. And made this one the back, probably for no reason, just because the rest of these look good. So I'll line them up. The edges are not square, so I'll go through and I'll just square up one end first on all of them. So we're at one end square. Now I can set the front and the back to the side. And I will cut the sides, because they are a straight 20 inches. So there's straight 20 on the sides. I'll swap these dudes. And so the front and the back, the drawer needs to be 22 3/4. Actually, all of them are the same, 22 3/4 wide. So I just run my sides over here together. And I square them up just by feel, and then I will measure off, let's say 22 after I sharpen my pencil. So I'll mark this at 22 3/4. And then I will cut these two. double check my measurement, make sure we're good. We're actually a hair long. You take a blade off. And there we go. And so I got the front and the back marked so that I don't screw up. Because, I mean, there's about an inch difference there between them. So I get all these cut down to size. As I said, I'll start sanding everything down, and then I'll work on the bottoms. Look, everything's sanded, and now I'm actually gonna get my first box. Start with the small one because I know I got a sheet of plywood that's this size. I'm gonna use 1/2 inch since it's a shop. It's gonna have heavy stuff. Just with the 1/4 inch, I don't want to worry about bouncing around. It just seems more solid. So what I do is I just kind of assemble it this way, and then I triple check my measurement. 22 3/4. That's what it should be. And 14. So then I'll just pocket screw. So this is quick and easy. Some people, you know, say it's cheating and it's lazy or whatever, but it's a shop. It's fine. It'll hold up really well, and you won't even see them. So the pocket holes will be in the front and the back. So the back you don't see, and the front will have a face, so you won't even notice it. I like to run 3, but you just got to make sure you don't hit your slot on your. Oop, almost did that wrong. So on your. So if I line it up, I may only do 2 on these. Yeah, I think I'll just do 2. Maybe a little smaller. Alright, so I will dab the glue on this side. I just kind of spread it towards the end so the squeeze out tries to squeeze more out this side than the other. And of course you wipe this under the table. So on these Kreg screws, they like to pull away, so I actually like to get a clamp. I'm gonna get one of those Castle pocket screw machines that use like a spiral router bit. That's what I want. It's 2-step, but doesn't, it's got a lower angle on the screws, so it doesn't pull off as bad. See, right there, it moved the wood, just trying to put the screw in. Cracked it too. I like to use a drill for putting these into and not an impact. You can feel it better. You can feel it when the screw is seated versus the impact. I'll strip anything out. And that's off a little bit, so I will clamp it again. It's just moving the clamp, not the wood. Oh, there it is. Alright, and that gets set up to be able to cut the base, because what you can do is, since the slot goes all the way through, you can measure it here, so it's exactly 22 3/4. Oh, 21 3/4. So I'll probably take 3/16 off of that, so I'll go 22 9/16. So this side won't be seen, so you just go 22 9/16. And then the other side, you can do the math. So I think these are 3/8. Not quite. It's 5/16. So you can measure off from the inside, rather. Easier than math, so that's 12 1/2 plus 5/8. So 13 1/8. And that will be what I cut the plywood out at. So go get that ripped down on the table saw, and I'll have to trim it. I just cut it, just use a groove. I'll show you. So once I get it trimmed down to size, I've just got a 1/4 inch groover here, because this is what I use to cut the drawer sides. So rather than changing it, it may have to do 2 passes on each one, but it's just rather than swapping it out to one of the thicker cutters, this works just as good. And you don't see it anyways, because it's on the bottom side. I don't even know where my plywood went, but I'm gonna find it and get it cut down. Well, I got the drawer bottom, the oddball one, actually one of the 2 oddball ones. So I said it's 1/2 inch plywood, and I just used that 1/4 inch rabbet to get this down to size. This dude slides in here just perfect. I left it a little lower higher than normal, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be using 3/4 inch material for this or not. And I may. It depends on what I end up finding for drawer. I'm just gonna scavenge and find whatever I have. So, and this one will go on just like the other one. It actually sprung a little bit, which makes it easier to put on. I can get it on here without the glue smearing. So, what I will do. And you want the plywood, you want that groove to be a snug fit, but not so tight that you're fighting it. Because there's nothing worse than trying to shove a piece of drawer bottom down and it's just not going. So I think I can clamp this up if I can get to those screws, which it looks like I can. Looks good. There's a couple screws. Running low on screws. I ordered some the other day. Actually ordered a couple thousand, so I don't have to run out again, but I'm just missing one. I think I've got that in the other room. I'm a little proud. To finish these drawers, maybe. And there we go. Now I've just got to go do that 7 more times, and let's check the square. So since all my cuts are square, and I've got the dimensions are exact, because every time I cut the boards, I cut them in pairs. So the boards are exactly the same size, and then all the joints are square. Then therefore all of this is square, and it is. So actually bone a little bit, but I think it's the board. Nope, we're good. Must have just been hitting something. That is dead on square. So we'll make installing drawers a little easier. So which I'll go ahead and assemble the rest of these. It's gonna be the same as these, and then we'll get them installed. That's gonna be the super fun part. Definitely. Well, I got all the boxes done. I ended up using 1/4-inch board in 2 of the drawers. I figured the top 2 are going to have some lighter stuff, screws and router bits. So rather than cut up a new sheet of 1/2 inch, and the one I got the piece of construction grade plywood that already had the laminate on it. It's got a split in it here or there, but that's going to be super durable. This door is like massively heavy too. But so I don't do when I got solid wood, I usually don't do roundovers on it. I just kind of hit it. What I'll do is I'll hit all the corners, the tops with 80 grit, 60 grit, just to get them smooth, flush, and then I'll just do a hand sand on all the edges just to kind of round it over enough for the finish to stick to it and keep it from being so sharp and splintery. But I'm going to get to sanding, get these sanded up and spray them with polyurethane, and then we will start mounting them in the cabinet base. So here's the plan. Wish I had planned this out like before I built it, but I usually don't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, I've got some 1/2-inch plywood left, so I want to run it just along the sides flush with this, so that then my drawer slides, I can put them anywhere I want. But to do that, I'm going to have to put a rabbet in right here so that the plywood will screw onto the legs and then be flush. So I got my, that's the only router I had that I could find the guide for. So I did a test one on this side. It'll take probably 2 or 3 passes, but that's with one. So I can adjust the guide back. I want to get it, I don't know, I figure at least like an inch or so. And it actually works pretty good, better than I thought it would. So all right, well, let's make some dust. Well, that was one pass. The rest of them are easier. They won't be as deep, but this one had a lot of, so these posts are Osage orange, so it's really hard, but these had a lot of insects. The outsides I was able to get pretty good looking, but in here, yeah, there's actually still some dead carpenter ants in there from when I poisoned them. So it's splitting out real bad. it's still going to. It's got a little more right here that's probably going to tear out, but the other ones, I don't think, that one might be a problem. That one will be good. This one's got a little bit of rot here, but it should be okay. So, all right, well, that's how it works. I'm going to do the rest of it. I got the plywood on, and it's actually, this one's a little low, but the rest of them are perfect. I had to hit one corner again with the router. It had just it was just proud a little bit. Just I must have not had the router flush or something. But so this will work. I thought about adding some hardboard strips behind top and bottom to make it a little rigid. But honestly, that's pretty good. If it becomes a problem, I can put some shims onto the middle braces where the panels attach. I could put some shims in there and screw it in to make it rigid if I need to, but I think it'll be good. That's a big enough piece of plywood, and I got these screws. This one here, that's where all the insects were. It took me a while to find meat, and I had to get some longer screws to go further in. But I need to sand that down. But so I'm ready to work on the drawers. So this is the small drawer because of the pipe. Let me show you how I like to hook these up now. I have no formal training, and I never watched anybody how to install drawer slides. I just kind of winged it and figured out good ways and bad ways. So first, I like to get a flat surface. I need a bigger, taller block here. There we go. That to work. All right, so I flush these up. Sometimes I like to move them back just a hair. You can always go back, but you don't have them proud. So I do that, and then I just mark center line, or in this case, I'll just put a screw in there. I do like to use a drill instead of an impact on these. All right, so that one's good. So now we got that one good. So now you can extend the drawer slide all the way out to catch the other ones. And same thing. If I had a smaller drill, this would be easier. Let's do this. There we go. Make sure y'all can still see it. Yep. All right, so another screw. Make sure everything's down. Turn that clutch up just a hair. There we go. And so now it's straight, and you can. So also, I like to run on my drawers, at least initially. I like to run them in the oblong slots, and then that way you have some adjustment front and back if you need to once you get it in there. If it ends up not being straight. So after that, I can go ahead and add. You can pull this off, and you can put your other screws on. Which in this case, I'm just going to put 3. Oh. There we go. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do that on all of them. Make sure you don't do like I do and put the drawer slides on the wrong sides. So I'm going to throw these on, and then I'll show you how I put them in the cabinet. Mounting the slides, what I do, right or wrong, whatever it may be, it's easier to do the ones up high because you can hold the square like that. They make jigs for this, but I have a square, so you get the slide, you make sure you're putting it the right way because I'm an idiot and do that all the time. So you got to get that and something the thickness of your drawer front so you can get it in the right position. Uh-oh, I may have to raise, I forgot about that. Oh, it's gonna be close. Nope, it'll work. I should have raised the slides up on the drawer a little bit because I didn't run the plywood all the way down because I couldn't get it rabbited without a lot of chiseling. I guess I could have used the multi-saw, or the bzzz saw as I call it. Okay, so same thing. I mount them in the oblong holes going this way so you can adjust it front to back, because I found it's pretty easy to get it level up and down, but also when you're out of level a little bit this way, it's not as noticeable as this way because this is so much longer, if you see what I'm saying. So you can, if you do get it out of adjustment this way, I mean, you can always pull the screw out and redo it, but I typically get them good, you know, square this way. It's adjusting them to where the fronts line up across, especially like here where it's going to be inset. So it's got to be perfect because it's going to be flush. It's not going to be proud of the frame. So I come up, I put a block on the bottom. You can do a quarter, I do a half. Actually, it's a good thing I did a half because it probably wouldn't fit, but just to have some clearance across the bottom of that. And then this is where it gets complicated, and I usually use a clamp. So you use all three of your hands. I'm doing this right. It's easy if you got a bottom on this bottom one too, because you can just make sure it's square and then plumb it up that way. So I'm going to do this, and then, oh, that's not going to work with this. I have to put this in a different, it's not going to work with this. Fail. Needs to be a bit smaller. Let me find a smaller piece. All right, hopefully that's right. That'll work. And I could, I guess, screw that plywood down and make it a little easier. I think I'm going to do that. Where screws go? Oh, way back there. Oh! You won't see this. There we go. Now it won't move. Right there. All right, so that's it right there. Like, all right, so then you screw it in. All right, and double check. Yep, see I'm off, but that's why I use these oblong holes, is because I can adjust it. There we go, right there. And make sure everything's still square. Oop, wrong drill. Oh, that picked up a little bit. And there's one. So the other ones, I'm gonna have to shim. So I purposely made these drawers 1/8 of an inch smaller than they should be. Well, I thought that side was more square. Well, I guess we'll find out. That side's pretty square. So I made some 1/8 inch shims, and that's so if the drawers ends up being crooked this way, I can shim, you know, the back of one and the front of the other to straighten it out. Because since it's, as I said, since it's a inset drawer front, it's got to be perfect. So this will end up going behind. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and install it like normal, and then I'll throw the shim, you know, cut some shims, shove them behind there, get it in there, test fit it, and then do the adjustments. So let me throw this other drawer slide on. So I got the other one in, and I did have to shim it, which is fine. So you're always better off being too small on your drawer boxes if you're doing this. I know when I first started making drawers, I screwed up left and right. One time I think I only made it, instead of subtracting an inch, I only subtracted 1/2 inch. So I had to come in and rabbet out. Luckily they were made out of oak, so I had to come in and rabbet 1/4 inch on each side to make them fit. And you know what, it's fine. You know, you couldn't tell it otherwise. But if you're too small, you can always shim it out, and it's way easier to shim it as to adjust your drawer box. I mean, if you were a little bit, if it's made out of hardboard, you know, solid wood, you could probably take it to the joiner and take a little bit off if you're just a little too big. So, but then you'd have to, like I've finished these already, so you'd have to refinish everything, which wouldn't be the end of the world. But so here's, I'm going to check. This is to see how straight it is, and if it's straight across, then we're good. Which this might be off just a tad on that side, which I'll wait until I get my drawer fronts. But check the top and the bottom. So the top is, no, it's about the same. So it's straight across. It's just a little bit this way. So you could basically, I could put a smaller shim over there and shim the back of this, and it would twist it that way. So, but I'm going to call it good until I get my drawer fronts, and I'll do the adjustments once I get the drawer fronts on. I'm just going to make sure it's pretty close. So that's about it on this. I am going to end up adding haven't decided if I'm going to put some slats in on every drawer, but I think I might just do the middle. So basically I'll cut a board. Hey, look, that's almost perfect. And I'll put it in here like this, just in case anything tries to warp it all. Honestly, I'm not sure how dry these posts were. Plus it's right next to my fire, so it's definitely going to dry out. So anything to keep it from twisting would be good. There's not a lot of plywood in here, so nothing. The only plywood I got is there in the drawer bottoms, so nothing is super stable. But that's what I'm going to do. Rest of the way up. Oh, that barely missed that PVC pipe too. Look at that. But that's my drawers. That's how I do it. As I said, everybody else may do it different, but they may do it right. This could be wrong, but either way, it's what I do. So I thought I'd show you this. This is actually the first time I think I've made a cabinet without a face frame in between the drawers. So I was trying to figure out how to, because usually I shim it off the face frame, and that's how I get my thing, my spacing. But so what I did is I've got my spacing set up at 6 1/4, and I just clamp. This is a straight piece of plywood to my square. I get it set where it needs to be, and then I've just got this clamped on here, so now I can use this to space my drawer, and then I'll just repeat that all the way up. I don't know if there's a better way or not. It might come to me by the time I get to the 8th drawer. I guess we'll see. So it's been probably a couple years since I started this video, but so I got everything finished. That bottom drawer still is a little off. Once I go to move, I think I'll probably adjust that bottom. The rest of them turned out really good. It's got a little bit more, reveal or space there than I'd hoped for, but it worked pretty good. That's actually not Osage orange either. I'm not even sure what kind of wood that is. It might be redbud. I don't know what it is. It's logs I found out in the woods and I milled them up. It's Osage orange is a lot more yellow, but the rest of it's all spalted maple. And everything's worked out good. I've had it a couple years. So the drawer fronts are kind of somewhat, these are book matched and those are too. But everything's worked out good. Drawers work good. They do not have soft close. I did end up getting a new pocket hole jig, but yeah, works good.